All right. Hello there. Welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right. I am really enjoying going through some of these Criterion Collection editions that I picked up in the recent November Barnes & Noble 50% off Criterion Collection sale. And I want to come on here and share my thoughts on a recent 4K release from the Criterion Collection. This is the 1968 film directed by William Wyler, starring Barbra Streisand and Omar Sharif. And it is my first time watching this film, Funny Girl. So this is the 1968 film, musical directed by film director William Wyler. So you may be familiar with William Wyler's films. He also directed this film called The Heiress, which I recently pulled off of my shelf, which had sat on my shelf for a long time, and I finally dusted off the dust from this title that was collecting dust over the years. Finally watched it and was absolutely blown away by it. It is Spine 974, stars Olivia de Havilland in an Oscar-winning performance. This movie is amazing. I really enjoyed The Heiress. And then, of course, you might know William Wyler for directing this incredible epic starring the wonderful late, great Charlton Heston, Ben-Hur. I have this Blu-ray set from back in, I think this came out in 2009. So I've had this Blu-ray box set for probably at least a dozen years, probably 14 years. So William Wyler directed Ben-Hur. He directed The Heiress. He directed many amazing films. But today I'm going to talk about this 1968 musical that's come out in Spine number 1240 in the Criterion Collection, Funny Girl, starring Barbra Streisand and Omar Sharif. So on the other side of this, I'm going to get into what I think about this movie. Going to get into the picture quality of this 4K Ultra HD. I got this on 4K in the Barnes & Noble sale. So I'll talk about how does the 4K picture look, and then we'll talk about the supplements and whether or not this is a title you ought to consider adding to your cart in an upcoming sale or at any time. So let's get into it. I'm recording this in early December 2024. This is the most wonderful time of the year, and I am enjoying the whole Christmas season, just hearing the Christmas songs, whether you go into a shopping mall, you go into whatever venue you're at, you're hearing great Christmas music. It just makes me want to sing along. I find myself just singing, Sleigh Ride, or, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, or, whatever, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. I just love this time of the year. So, but yeah, I'm going to share with you what I think of this title, Funny Girl. This came out on 4K Ultra HD. Crack this open. You see this beautiful picture of Miss Streisand here from 1968. The 4K Ultra HD disc and the Blu-ray disc, which has the special features. You see the back of the case here. So yeah, this is very nice addition from the Criterion Collection. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a PowerPoint presentation, a few slides that I want to share of this wonderful, wonderful movie here that stars the wonderful Barbra Streisand. And so I'm going to share Funny Girl, this window here. And you should be seeing my window as we speak. And I'm going to put this into presentation mode. And this is Funny Girl, 1968 Criterion Collection 4K review. I'm going to take a moment to read the back of this case. It says, witness the birth of a movie star as Barbra Streisand makes a screen debut for the ages in this musical spectacular. From humor to pathos, she hits every note as popular 1920s singer-comedian Fanny Brice, a young Jewish New Yorker whose spirit and supernova talent propel her to fame in the Ziegfeld Follies, but whose devotion to an unreliable gambler, a charismatic Omar Sharif, brings drama and heartbreak into her life. Adapted from a hit Broadway show and directed by Hollywood master William Wyler, Funny Girl hits emotional highs and unforgettable performances of songs like People and Don't Rain on My Parade, moments that won Streisand one of the most richly deserved Best Actress awards in Oscar history. So yes, Barbra Streisand won Best Actress in this film, and deservedly so. Her performance is really what brings this film up to the next level. I love Barbra Streisand in this film. Omar Sharif played a great role in this film, as well as, the man who came into her life, and there was true love there, but there were also some issues. And, but their love story in this film, Funny Girl, has incredible charm, and Barbra Streisand just plays her role so beautifully and really embodies the life of Fanny Brice. I'm not sure how accurate it is to her actual life of this actual performer from the 1920s. I don't know how accurate her portrayal is, but her portrayal is wonderful nonetheless. So yeah, this is Funny Girl. And director William Wyler and producer Ray Stark. So you'll see William Wyler there in the middle. He's the director of this film. And it was an interesting story. When you go through the special features, you'll learn a little bit about the history of this film, that it is based on a true story. It's based upon the real life of Fanny Brice and her relationship with this man named Nick Arnstein. And this man here, the producer, Ray Stark, was married to the daughter of Fanny Brice. So Ray Stark wanted to bring his mother-in-law's story, work with the family to bring her story to life in this play that ran, I think, in the early 1960s. It was adapted to a film script, and it took several years for this film script to actually get to the point of them filming it, which was timed beautifully to when Barbra Streisand, came on the scene and was able to star in the role. There were many people who were considered for the role, but it came to Barbra Streisand. And it's one of those things where I'm sure other actresses, might have done perfectly fine in the role, but this just seemed like a role that was made for this young up and coming talent, Barbra Streisand. She did an amazing job as Fanny Brice, just with the musical performances, the humor, the serious drama. She just gave such a varied range of emotion embodying this character. And you really, I think, at least I felt a connection to her in this story and her relationship with this man, and played by Omar Sharif, Nick, who you felt that there was true love there, but you knew that there were some significant challenges. And part of what you're dealing with as a viewer watching this film is, as you see Fanny Brice, reach her success in the performing, area, will this relationship with Nick Arnstein survive? They love each other, but will it survive? And that is one of the things that you experience watching this film. And I think that William Wyler did a great job directing the performances here and just pacing this story and delivering what I think is phenomenal. Of course, you see that Oscar there on to the left, the Academy Award winner, Best Actress for Barbra Streisand, and the musical performances here. This is one of those films that is a musical, but I felt like this is one of those films that if you're not a big fan of musicals, I would still recommend this picture, because they don't overdo it with, every minute you're listening to somebody singing. It was just enough. But it wasn't too much in terms of the musical element. I kind of consider it more of a drama than a musical, but it is a musical nonetheless. And some of the musical performances sung by Barbra Streisand are extraordinary. Beautiful. Fanny Brice and Nick Arnstein. So Barbra Streisand played a real life character who lived named Fanny Brice, and she was a popular and influential American comedian, singer, theater, and film actress. And she made, many stage, radio, and film appearances, but is best remembered as the creator and star of the top-rated radio comedy series, The Baby Snoop, or whatever that says there. But yeah, she was born in 1891, and she died in 1959 at the age 1951 at the age of 59 years old. So she died at a fairly young age. She starred in this Ziegfeld Follies here that you see, which is shown here on the first slide here near the opening of the film. This is Barbra Streisand on the left walking up to the theater. So that's very, very interesting. But yeah, so this is to the left, you see Fanny Brice and Nick Arnstein. So in the movie, Barbra Streisand plays Fanny Brice, and Nick Arnstein there is played by Omar Sharif. So very interesting that it's based on a true story, so to speak. You see Barbra Streisand here as Fanny Brice. She demonstrated so much range in this role, just so much charm in her relationship with the other characters in this film. The director of the play, uh, just their banter back and forth, the way she challenged him, the way that she pushed to get the job, and the way that she sort of made demands, but her performance backed up, and the results that she generated backed up her being able to make the demands that she made. And it made for a very interesting relationship between her and the showrunner for this play. Of course, you have Barbra Streisand and Omar Sharif, their love story. He plays Nick Arnstein. He's a gambler. He's a man who's trying to, hustle to make for successful ventures. And he has ups and downs in that process. And there's, money problems along the way. So you have Fanny Brice, who is very successful. She is making good money. He's struggling. And that does create some tension in their relationship in terms of, her wanting to help him, but him being the man in the relationship, not really wanting to need his wife in that way. And so that does create strain in their loving relationship. But I think this is one of the best parts of this film is the development of this romance between these two people and the way that Barbra Streisand's character Fanny Brice responds to Nick Arnstein, and their love story is beautifully portrayed. I'm not going to spoil anything, but this where this love story went, I found to be very satisfying from a story standpoint, and I think you might as well. But if you've seen the film, I definitely want to hear in the comment section what you think about this love story between these two people. Of course, Barbra Streisand wins Best Actress Oscar, and I'll play her acceptance speech. This song is my favorite song from this movie. So incredible. There's people in the world. She sung it so beautifully. Of course, you see her tripping going on the stage like Jennifer Lawrence did recently, or I guess 10 years ago when she won her Academy Award.
This is Anthony Harvey, who is accepting the award for Catherine Hepburn. Thank you very much.
When I asked Miss Hepburn what she thought when she had broken the records for winning breaking the records for nominations, she said, "I suppose if I've lived as long as I have, anything can happen." And I'm absolutely thrilled that it has happened. Thank you very much.
And gee whiz, it's kind of a wild feeling. Um, can- the first script of Funny Girl was written when I was only, and thank God it took so long to get it right. So I would like to thank my co-producer Ray Stark for waiting till I grew up, and Julie Stein and Bob Mel for giving me such a great score to sing, and Isabel Leonard for writing such a terrific character, and all the Hollywood people who made our show into a movie. Herb Ross and my dear Harry Stradling, who I haven't let go since, and my dear friend and director, William Wyler. Well, it's like somebody once said to me, asked me if I was happy, and I said, "Are you kidding? I'd be miserable if I was happy." And I'd like to thank all the members of the Academy for making me really miserable. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was Barbra Streisand accepting her Academy Award in a tie with Katharine Hepburn for her role in Funny Girl. She does mention Herbert Ross, who he directed the musical numbers, as part of this film. Of course, William Wyler was the director. But one interesting note about this film is that William Wyler was, I think he was deaf in one ear, so he had some hearing problems and wasn't really able to, fully hear everything in the way that he would need to. So he had Herbert Ross come and direct some of the musical numbers. So that's one of the things that's really impressive about William Wyler, is his overall his reach in terms of his diversity of films that he's made. And here he is making this musical and hardly able to really fully hear, but he used Herbert Ross to help direct some of the musical sequences in this film, and Barbra Streisand definitely appreciated it. And you have Omar Sharif. His casting as Nick Arnstein stirred a bit of controversy at the time for political reasons. There were some political tensions between Egypt and Israel at the time, and it wasn't the only drama on the set. Of course, it also, is important to note that, as I said, William Wyler was deaf in one ear. And so, the whole orchestration part of things, he got assistance with, which really, helped him to deliver a masterpiece, even though he had the hearing issue. So, yeah, Funny Girl is definitely a fantastic film overall. And now, in terms of how this film looks on this 4K Ultra HD disc, I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to read, look at this picture on the back here. Love that. I'm going to read about the master in here, where that is mentioned, about the master, which is mentioned here. So it says, Funny Girl is presented in the original aspect ratio of 2:35:1. The film was restored in 4K by Sony Pictures Entertainment from the 35mm original camera negative and the 35mm original 6-track magnetic stereo soundtrack master. The feature is presented in Dolby Vision HDR, high dynamic range on the 4K Ultra HD disc, and high definition SDR standard dynamic range on the Blu-ray. So this film is scanned in 4K, original camera negative, and this film looks beautiful on 4K. I think the best way I can describe it is, this is a film from 1968, and it is just beautifully restored. It looks clean. There's nice depth in the image. It's clear. I didn't see any signs of damage or really anything. I think the grain was resolved very beautifully, but this is a beautifully organic looking restored film of a film from 1968. And it's not one of those situations where you look at it and you mistake it for a film that could have been shot yesterday. It looks like a film of its vintage, but it looks absolutely immaculately restored. It looks absolutely beautiful. It is very organic and just, like, I don't want to say earthy looking, but it just looks really, really good. I mean, overall, it's rich. It's not it's not overly colorful, but the colors are nice and vibrant enough but slightly, but not overly bright, not overly vibrant. Um, Overall, I just think that the image looks quite amazing, beautifully restored, and I would give it exceptionally high marks. It is a beautiful looking 4K restoration of this film. The sound also comes across very beautifully, as you would expect. This is a 5.0 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. It sounds absolutely beautiful. And of course, that's very important given that this is a musical. So I think from an overall AV standpoint, and I'm not hitting all the technical terms here, I'm just telling you, it looks great and it sounds great. It is a beautiful looking 4K image. I did not compare it to the Blu-ray presentation, and I don't have the previous Blu-ray release, but I have to believe that this is the best that this film has ever looked. This is a 4K digital restoration. I'm not sure if it's new, so I'm not sure if the original Blu-ray release had the same 4K restoration and they are just now taking that same restoration and putting it on a 4K disc or not. But whatever the case may be, on this 4K disc, it looks fantastic, and that HDR does a nice job of really bringing a little bit more vibrancy to the colors, just giving it a little bit more punch in terms of the dynamic range, in terms of the lightest parts of the image and the darkest parts of the image. Nice contrast. I think overall this is a winning picture, just period, across the board. It is a beautiful looking 4K presentation. And now, as far as the special features, that is another big part of this release that I think is a big winner. And overall, what you get in this release is you get, in the supplements, you have a nice interview with Barbra Streisand. She doesn't appear on camera, but it's a recently recorded, it actually recorded in 2024 discussion where she talks about this film and the production and just sort of looking back on her experiences making this film. So you have that new discussion with Barbra Streisand that runs, I think, 40 minutes or so. You have an archival interview and discussion with Omar Sharif from, I think, 20 years ago. That is phenomenal. He is incredibly funny, engaging, and just endearing. Just hearing him talk about the experiences working with William Wyler and Barbra Streisand and just making this movie. Omar Sharif was definitely a very fun person to listen to. So great to hear about that. And then you also have some features on here that tell you a little bit about the history of Fanny Brice and the real life story that inspired this film, as well as learning a lot about William Wyler, the director, and the amazing films that he has made, and the fact that he has not only won a number of Oscars as a director, but he's also been responsible for directing a lot of Oscar-winning performances from, actors over the years. And he just made some amazing films, an incredible range of different types of films. And I think his son, on one of the special features, talks about the fact that, he might not be one of the best known directors, but in his eyes, he's one of the greatest directors ever because of the different types of films that he made. He didn't specialize in just one particular area of film or one genre, but he made numerous different types of films, whether you're talking about big, huge epics like Ben-Hur, to, films like The Heiress, to doing a musical like, Funny Girl. William Wyler just showed an incredible amount of range in his career and was responsible for some Academy Award winning, success from performers and himself as a director. So I thought that was pretty phenomenal to hear. So the special features on here are absolutely fantastic. Again, you have the new conversation with Barbra, a new audio interview with star Barbra Streisand. You don't see her on screen, but it's an audio interview. Okay. And then you have new conversation between director William Wyler's son, David, and Alicia Malone, who is author and Turner Classic Movies host. So that's a very nice discussion with William Wyler's son. And then you have a documentary on Wyler's life and career. You have an archival interview I mentioned with Omar Sharif. So some really nice features in here, and including an essay that is excellent, A Feeling Deep in Your Soul by Michael Koreski. So I highly recommend reading this. This is a nice insert for this release. And overall, I have to say, I was blown away by this release, starting with the film itself, folks. This is just one of those films that really just impacted me. And it's definitely a film that I've been thinking about ever since I've seen it. It took me probably about 3 nights to finally get through all of it. But Funny Girl comes highly, highly recommended. This is a fantastic release in the Criterion Collection. And I have a sense that this release is going to find its way in my top 10 releases of the year. Just a matter of where it'll be ranked. Similarly to my Georgia Bulldogs, they have, of course, they won the SEC championship last night in college football, and they're the number 2 seed in the college football playoff. So had to throw that in there. But this film here will certainly appear somewhere in my top 10 of the year from the Criterion Collection. And it is highly recommended on the next 50% off sale, or heck, pick it up on Amazon at 30% off. It is well worth it, in my opinion. And I definitely recommend getting the 4K Ultra HD release. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on William Wyler's 1968 film, Funny Girl, the new edition on 4K Ultra HD from the Criterion Collection. Let me know in the comments section below, what do you think of this film if you've seen it? What do you think of other films that Barbra Streisand has starred in? What are some other films starring Omar Sharif that you've seen, like Lawrence of Arabia or other films? What do you think about him as an actor? And what are some other films from William Wyler that you are a fan of? Let me know all that film-related goodness in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.